Abbey Road, London. 5 decades ago, 4 young men made this street famous all around the world. And just a few steps up the street there, on June 25th, 1967, they performed a song live by satellite to an audience of almost 500 million people. That song was All You Need Is Love. It was the summer of love. I was working at a little theater in Vermont when I heard it. And like so many young people everywhere, we were swept up by the sense of hope that love was all you needed to end war, poverty, and oppression. It's easy, right? Seems naive now. But stop and think for a minute about how our lives are built around love. Families, and our communities. Is it really naive to think that love can change the world? What happens when we don't have love? Why are these children rocking back and forth?
Because children were never held as infants.
Why are we willing to suffer for love? Even die for it?
What happens on those battlefields forges something that truly cannot be repeated anywhere else.
Should passion be left to fate?
Is it really meant to just be chance that you meet someone that you're meant to spend the rest of your life with?
And can love reach everyone?
It's a way of making someone feel like there's someone out there who cares.
This is my journey to discover the ties that bind us and the common humanity inside us. This is the story of us. I'm in Southern California to meet Isidore Ruckel. Isidore grew up in a Romanian orphanage and didn't experience the love most of us take for granted, the love of a parent. You were born in Romania.
That is correct.
But you wound up in an orphanage at an early age.
I did. My parents took me to a hospital to be treated for my flu or cold. The doctor gave me an injection, and instead of the needles being sterilized and disinfected, it was used time after time on children after children, and I contracted polio. So my parents said, "What on earth did you do to his leg? His leg is dead, can't move it anymore." The doctor said he'd have to stay here for a couple of weeks. Once my parents left me there, they never came back. At the age of 3 years old, I was put in the hospital for the irrecoverable children and grew up there until I was 11 years old.
In the 24 years that Nicolae Ceausescu ruled Romania, many children shared Isidore's fate. Ceausescu decreed that every family must have at least 5 children or pay an extreme tax penalty. If you couldn't afford to feed 5 children, often the only option was to give some of them to one of Romania's overcrowded state orphanages. So, Izzy, you spent 8 years growing up in an orphanage. What was that like?
There are moments where you wonder, am I going to survive this? None of us were taken outside.
No sunlight?
No sunlight.
Looking around at where we are, playground, the trees, the grass.
We did not have anything like
Nothing
this.
close to it.
No. I wanted to show you this video so you could actually see it for yourself, what my life in the institution was in Romania.
I mean, even the building from the outside looks intimidating.
When you walk into the building, it smelled nothing but soaked urine and feces.
Oh my Goodness gracious. About how many kids can you think in that orphanage?
It would be about 400, 500 children.
400 or 500 children,
Yeah.
and not nearly enough people to look after
No.
them. Why are these children rocking back and forth?
Because children were never held as infants, and they were developing ways to nurture themselves, and rocking back and forth was one of the ways.
You experienced this.
I used to rock back and forth for a long time, and I grew out of that eventually.
Who was that kid?
That was me. That was me in 1990. I had more opportunity than others. I had a worker named Onisha, and I actually still have her picture. And I will never forget this woman. She was one of the most amazing workers that worked there. Onisha took me home for one night. I forgot about the institution. My experience at home was the greatest gift. She cared for me like I was her son. From that moment on, other workers saw my potential. Okay, I want to take him home too. And from there, it just gradually grew till I went home with almost the entire staff that worked there. It's because of them that I learned how to love, how to have compassion, how to care, how to have sympathy. I mean, I had never done that before. I never could hug someone.
Did you see this happen with any other kids?
No. I was very fortunate and lucky, and because of their love, I believe I was able to grow and develop a lot better than others.
So how did you get out of this orphanage?
And these workers called out my name and another boy's name, Ciprian. Isidore and Ciprian, come here, you're going to America.
Just like that?
Just like that. And we were shocked. So they put us in a nurse's office, and I asked, who's gonna be my mom? And Marla said, I'm gonna be your mom. And I said, then that's who I want my mom to be.
So your parents are here?
Yes. Mom and Dad, come right in.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Marlis.
How do you do? But you got your own kids. Yeah, you got 3 lovely children that you're going to bring this
Mud.
into.
All 5 of us really wanted him. I thought he was the most charming thing.
Pretty much
I've ever
hooked.
seen. Yes.
Okay. At first, life in America was new and exciting for Isidore. He went to school, played sports, and experienced something he'd never had before. A family that loved him. But then things started to go wrong. They started to go bad.
I wasn't used to the family. I didn't care for them. They were not my family. They were nothing. I hated them. All the bitterness, I held it in, and when I exploded, I took it out on them because they were the closest to me. There are times where I was so out of hand, the police had to come over.
Do you have any clue why?
I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, I couldn't understand it.
I think there were just some attachment issues as a result of, growing up without, someone coddling him and hugging him and loving on him.
When a child grows and develops, they need to be nurtured, cared, and loved. Without it, they're mentally affected.
By the time Isidore turned 16, his rejection of his adoptive family reached a boiling point. He moved out of the house, severed all ties with them. But then, when he was 18, he learned that Marlis and his adoptive sisters were in a serious car accident.
I was so devastated, and I was very scared that I was going to lose them. I had done so much damage in the family that I didn't think I was going to be accepted or even talked to. They opened the door, and I apologized from them.
I remember still to this day, he told us that he loved us. And I'm not sure that we'd ever heard that.
But that was a turnaround for him.
Mm-hmm. The beginning.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to give up. He's my son. Whether he's my flesh and blood, it didn't matter. I refused to give up.
Once I saw that they were able to forgive me, at that moment I made like a covenant with myself. I did not want to lose them again.
All right, so now what?
We're still doing the same thing. We have 5 more children. We've adopted them. Not
Gluttons for
California.
punishment, huh? And you, what are you doing?
I'm advocating for several things because I definitely don't want to see children, not only in Romania, but anywhere in the world, to endure what we endured. I think that the greatest gift of all was being adopted and be able to have the best family. I have to admit that.
Well,
I did realize that took me a while, but
now you do. When I was a little boy, I had all this. Trees, grass, sound of birds. I had a loving family. It is heartbreaking to learn what Isidore and so many young Romanian children had to live through. Isidore himself was lucky. He had his nursemaids and his adoptive parents. Now he dedicates himself to helping other orphans, securing for them something that was as vital to their well-being as food and shelter. Love.
All of us need to receive love. But giving love often requires sacrifice. Many parents stop putting themselves first. They sacrifice their careers, work second jobs, or give up their social lives to care for their children. In some cases, the sacrifices we make for love cause physical pain and leave lasting scars. I'm traveling to a remote region of southern Ethiopia to visit a village of the Hammer tribe. Anthropologist Dr. Samuel Tafara, who has lived with the Hammer, tells me they will be happy to show me the pain they endure for love.
Is this an old village? I mean, how old is it?
she has been here for 2, 3, 4 centuries.
So they're pastoral.
Yes, they have goats, they have cows, they have sheep.
Because I was going to ask if I could get Eggs Benedict here, but I guess not, huh?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
The Hammer in this village are all members of an extended family. Those tight family bonds are vital to their survival in this dry and rugged land.
I hear this sort of joyous sound going on.
We are about to witness an age-old ceremony. Men of the Hammer jump over the bulls. It's a rite of transition from a childhood to adulthood.
Oh, okay.
And then that makes them eligible to marry. And that's
That
an
makes them
important
eligible
aspect
for
to
marriage.
Yeah.
The Hammer have invited us to witness their traditional bull jumping ceremony. Samuel tells me most of the day's events aren't focused on the young man who's coming of age, but on his female relatives.
These girls are praising the guy who's going to live and singing, dancing, praising the family.
A crucial part of the ceremony is the display of love the women make for the young boy. This is abuse. The Hammer people have been holding coming-of-age ceremonies for young men here on the banks of the Omo River for hundreds of years. A central part of the event is his female relatives being whipped. I've heard of other painful ritual practices often directed against women, but something about this seems different.
She's calling for the one. She's provoking the men. None of the whippers are trying to whip. It's the girls.
They choose.
They choose to do it, yeah.
Hard for me to fathom because
I don't understand why the woman wants to get whipped.
bit abusive, of course, to the eyes of us. But from their own perspective, they're doing it to show and to express their love. No matter what comes or no matter what happens, she loves her brother. So this is a kind of return for the love that he has for her.
Tamil explains that these women know the boys who are coming of age will make sacrifices and face dangers herding cattle in Ethiopia's rugged landscape. Being whipped is their way of declaring that they are willing to endure hardship as well. But this is all so shocking that I want to ask the women directly why they are doing this.
I've been watching for a good while, and I see women getting whipped. It seems painful and cruel. Why do you do it?
Because so it's a culture. When your brother lips or when your uncle lips, then you have to get whipped. For them to feel like he's jumping, they have to be whipped.
Okay.
And they cannot separate the two.
Fresh cuts laid down on top of old scars serve as proof of the women's love for the bull jumper. It's time now for him to show his bravery. These are the cattle.
These are the cattle.
And the young man is going to come
Yeah, the male will
jump over a bunch of them.
Yeah, he's going to jump. He's very young.
Yeah, very young.
The whippers will be lining them up around there. And then once they are lined up, they will hold tight their horns and their tails.
Okay, so they don't move.
Right, so that they don't move. And then the boy can run. Yeah, he's doing it.
What happens if he falls?
He'll be eliminated.
The young man must run over the cattle at least 4 times to complete his transition to adulthood. The more runs he makes, the more of a man he is in the eyes of his extended family. This is number 4.
He wants to do it more?
Yeah, he's coming back for number 5.
Now he'll become a big man. Eh? How many cows could you jump over?
I probably could make it over 1, maybe.
The strength of the Hammer women is remarkable.
They manage to take something painful and turn it into something that empowers them. The scars that they carry are like a signature on a contract that says, we are bound by love. It strikes me that human society may not have made it without this kind of love between siblings, and parent and child. It's the basic glue that holds humankind together.
The bonds of family are cemented by this form of sacrificial love, but they are also built on another type of love, the passion that strikes 2 people.
Anthony and Cleopatra, Tristan and Isolde, Romeo and Juliet. These romantic tales are the epitome of how we view love. To paraphrase William Shakespeare, love is a fire, sparkling in lovers' eyes. But I wonder if romantic love alone is enough to sustain a marriage.
Only recently, and mostly only in developed countries, has marriage based on passionate love between strangers replaced marriages arranged by families as the norm. I'm on my way to Hertfordshire, England, to meet lawyer Hina Bellis, whose Pakistani heritage presented her with a choice between both forms of marriage.
Come on in.
Tell me about your family background.
Well, I was brought up in Andover in Hampshire, although I was actually born in Pakistan.
So you grew up here in the UK.
Yes, it was completely all white, all English. And so we grew up secluded from anyone of a similar cultural background to us.
What about schooling? Did you go to college?
I did, and I met someone at university.
Were you married?
Yes, it was what you would conventionally call a love marriage. It was all very idyllic for a short while.
How short?
A year.
Yeah, that's shorty.
Yeah, I discovered that actually he'd been unfaithful.
Okay, so that means divorce.
It did, yes. So I threw myself into my career and I worked very hard and became a successful attorney. Life in the city as a single girl was actually quite a lonely experience. Even though I had so many friends, I knew that there was something hollow and empty and missing in my life. And it wasn't very easy for me, with the experience that I had been through, to easily just trust another. And I had a sort of instinct that I knew I wouldn't find it just by bumping into someone in the local supermarket.
You had to make some sort of change.
I think that's absolutely right.
After a failed first marriage, Hina felt the urge to get reacquainted with her Pakistani roots.
I then had a very good job opportunity arise. So I took that opportunity to take a break between jobs and take some proper time out. So I decided to go to Pakistan and meet my grandmother. After a few days of arriving, I noticed that when we went out to a restaurant that a strange man would appear and just be shuffled over to sit next to me. And at first I was unsure as to what the reason was, and then my grandmother would sort of come over and nudge me afterwards and say, "What did you think of him?" And I'm like, "Oh, it'd be nice if he could actually string a sentence together." But then the penny dropped quite quickly that my family were effectively trying to introduce me to a possible suitable match, an arranged marriage.
What was your thinking about the idea of arranged marriages?
Well, it was strange. I felt very much that I was a Western woman that had been brought up in the UK, and this was all just not for me. This is not something...
Kind of foreign.
Yes, it's foreign. It's a bit backward. Why would I think about marrying someone in this way? But that's okay. I'll humour you all for a bit. I'll sort of go along with it.
How many persons do you think your grandmother paraded before you?
There were about 4 or 5, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just as we were about to leave, it was probably the day before, there was another chap, and he was very different, extremely charming, had a wonderful smile, good looking. I noticed from across the room my grandmother looking at me. She had these long, slim, dark eyes, and she was looking at me and looking at him like this. But what happened was I flew back to the UK, and literally the day after I arrived, my mother got a phone call from my grandmother who said, "I'd like to propose a match, a marriage match between Cameron and Hina. Can you ask her if that's something that she would be interested in proceeding with?" On the one hand, I thought, dive in, jump off the cliff and have a go. On the other hand, I was thinking, what's gone wrong with you that you're considering this? So there was conflict in my own mind because, of course, I'd only met Cam for about half an hour to an hour.
Then what?
Well, I think I had a bit of an epiphany when I was out there because I realized it may be culturally different to something that I had been brought up around, but maybe it wasn't a bad thing. Maybe there was something that it had to offer. I actually said, yes, I would like to proceed. And I was thinking, you're crazy.
Hina Bellis agreed to marry a man whom she had only met once, for half an hour,
Yeah.
who lived more than 4,000 miles away from her home outside London. She chose to trust the opinion of her Pakistani family rather than simply rely on the spark of passion.
It was virtually no time at all that we were married over the telephone by a telephone nikah ceremony. A nikah ceremony is a wedding ceremony, which is like the actual wedding, so it's sort of at the point of commitment.
You're on the telephone?
On the telephone.
He's in Pakistan?
Yes.
And you're here in the UK?
That's right.
And you're married now?
We're technically married. But afterwards, I went for a proper full ceremony in Pakistan. It worked out wonderfully. I can honestly say I believe I've found my soulmate. Would you like to meet him?
Yeah, of course. Hello, Cameron.
Hi, Morgan. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
So, did you know you're being set up?
No, not at all. Yeah. My father, he said, "Come, what do you think about the girl you saw?" And I said, "Wow."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I wish she'll be my wife."
So, how long have you been together?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah. We have an 8 and a 10-year-old now. 2 beautiful sons.
So, maybe it's a good thing to have family involved in such a momentous decision.
I think you're right. I think part of the reason why there are so many website dating applications is because there isn't an easy access to people. Is it really meant to just be chance that you meet someone that you're meant to spend the rest of your life with? Do we really want to leave that purely to a chance meeting at a party?
In Pakistan, you always see arranged marriages, and they last long. They're a blessing from parents.
I had a lot more confidence and trust because I knew that my family was involved, and so there was a lot more comfort that I had.
Okay. So how wrong would I be if I said yours is not an arranged marriage, yours is a marriage by consent?
The core of the difference is simply that when a marriage is arranged, it is arranged because the objective is to introduce two people for the purposes of getting married, rather than for the purposes of going out and having fun. There are such things as forced marriages. Anyone being compelled to marry someone they don't want to is completely wrong. An arrangement should be by choice, ultimately.
Do you think love has to be learned?
There is something powerful about going into a relationship with clear expectations on either side and clear hopes and desires on either side, and not having those aspects clouded by the more superficial feelings. There's a possibility, I think, that could lead to a longer term, more lasting, more fulfilling relationship.
You two look properly matched to me. I mean, I can certainly see how it could come about between you two. Looks right, feels right, even smells right. So long, guys.
Thank you.
It had never occurred to me that an arranged marriage could be the foundation of a loving relationship. Not Tahina either. But she and Cam have built upon the expectations placed on their match by their families. They've built a bond that is founded on both passion and practicality.
Hi.
And they're raising a couple of wonderful boys. Love has so many forms. It's passionate, it's painful, it's nurtured. Love binds people together, even when love is the last thing on their minds. I'm meeting Army Major William Swenson, who received the Medal of Honor for his bravery in Afghanistan.
Will Swenson was there for his brothers. He was there for us all.
The story of how he risked his life for his brothers in arms is a true story of love. Brothers in arms. What does that term mean to you?
It's a term that's always defined our relationship to one another in the military. Friendship, a family that's forged, whether it's basic training or whether it's an experience that was forged in war.
Now, you were in Afghanistan.
That's correct. We had U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Navy assets all participating in a joint operation to help pacify a troubled part of our region. We were all collectively working with respective Afghan partners. Sergeant First Class Kenneth Westbrook and I were working with our Afghan Border Patrol. Sergeant Westbrook was, in effect, my right-hand man.
Sergeant Westbrook is a friend of yours?
We had not known each other prior to this deployment. We got to know each other very well. I could rely on him. We were very different in every way. However, we ultimately saw that we had an objective, a goal, and that we were going to get there together.
On September 8th, 2009, Major Swenson, Sergeant Westbrook, and their Afghan Border Patrol unit were tasked with escorting a contingent from the Afghan Army and the U.S. Marines. They were headed to a meeting of elders in the village of Ganjagal.
But this was not a mission that intended on being combat. We were there to support that operation.
Okay, so what happened?
You pick your battles, but sometimes your battles pick you.
The mission came under fire.
That's correct. We never entered the village before we were fired upon. And it rapidly escalated into a significant amount of direct, accurate, lethal fire.
Major William Swenson had set out on a mission to help Afghani soldiers broker a peace deal with tribal elders in the village of Ganjagal. All of a sudden, the mission came under attack, and they were surrounded by as many as 60 insurgent fighters. He and his entire unit were battling to save their own lives.
We had received at least 4 of our first casualties within the first 5 minutes. This battle extended over 6 hours.
6 hours.
And over these 6 hours, we had a number of heroic acts that occurred across that battlefield. We were firmly committed to one goal: extracting our survivors, recovering our wounded and dead, and getting off that battlefield so we could come back and fight another day.
Major Swenson repeatedly entered the kill zone to rescue wounded and fallen U.S. and Afghani soldiers. But he wasn't alone in his efforts.
Sergeant First Class Westbrook was providing supporting fire heroically, and he was wounded. And he called out to me, "Will, I'm hit." And he didn't tell me how badly wounded he was. He never indicated how significant his injuries were, but they were grave. And I was watching him, just checking to make sure he was okay, and he was. And he provided covering fire for who knows how long before he finally said, "I'm losing it. I need help over here." And I knew he was serious. And I went over to him, and he and I began to extract off the battlefield. And he, on his own 2 feet, walked hundreds of yards through complex terrain. But again, I had not at this point understood the severity of it. We'll watch this together. This helicopter crew was under fire at this time. For them to land a helicopter full of fuel in that area is a testament to their bravery as well. This is me. The dust you see is providing some level of protection from direct fire. You can see here that Sergeant First Class Westbrook coming up. The bullet had destroyed his shoulder. Significant internal damage and bleeding. At this point, he had lost so much blood that it was difficult for him to maintain consciousness. This is Sergeant First Class Westbrook walking on his own 2 feet off that battlefield after doing his job. At that point, I told him he'd done his job. It was time to go home, and I gave him a kiss on the head.
Your brother in arms you gave a kiss on the head. Would you agree it qualifies as love?
It does qualify as love. The people you serve with, the people you go to conflict with, the people that you have an experience in that intensity forges friendships, it forges bonds, it forges something that truly cannot be repeated anywhere else. What happens on those battlefields, what happens amongst our service members in those situations, creates something that really cannot be described. It can be seen, it can be witnessed, but it really has to be felt. It's powerful. And it extends beyond just the soldier, just that sailor, that Marine. It extends to even their families. You feel like you've forged a new family, a new bond.
So Sergeant Westbrook was rather severely wounded, but not mortally, right?
What happened to him?
Sergeant Westbrook had the opportunity to go home. He didn't want to. He wanted to stay, keep fighting. He got to go home. He got to see his family. Unfortunately, as a result of complications, he passed away a month later. Back in the United States, with his family by his side.
So out of all of that, he died.
This is war. It's not fair. He would have returned to that battlefield if he could have. He would have returned right by my side, and he and I would have continued our mission. But he gave everything for what he loved, for what he believed in. And I take some solace in knowing that he got home.
Yeah. Rough talking about it, isn't it? Thank you. The courage that Major Swenson showed on that fateful day is inspiring. But what strikes me most is that kiss, and what it reveals. It's not romantic. No. It's a kiss of fellowship, a profound bond with someone you have no blood ties with. How could we ever have moved beyond small tribes without that bond? Our cities, our entire nations could not exist without love.
Love has built our world, but not everyone receives the love they need. Around us, there are people who are excluded, who feel invisible to the rest of society. Can we help bring them back simply by offering them love? Across Europe and North America, there are nearly 5 million homeless. Some of us are moved to help these people through charity. You could call charities organizations built from love. In the U.S., 63 million volunteers donated 8 billion hours to homelessness and other causes in 2016. But suffering persists all the same. I wonder if there's a better way to show love for those in need. I'm in London to meet Joshua Coombs. He's a hairdresser, and he believes small acts of love can make a big impact.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good
So
to
good
see
to
you.
meet you. Great to meet you.
Yeah, what
am I doing with this store? I'm going to show you.
Okay.
So I'm going to take you around Peckham.
Peckham was once one of London's most downtrodden neighborhoods. Today, it's in transition. On the same block, you can find trendy coffee shops, street gangs, and the homeless.
I'm going to go talk to this guy down here quickly.
Okay.
Just a sec.
Joshua hopes he can help the homeless not by offering them money or food, but by giving them a haircut.
Okay, Stuart. When was the last time you had a haircut?
In November last year.
December, January, February,
5 months ago.
March, April. How'd you come to be homeless, Stuart?
I broke my hip, and they stopped my benefits. And at the time, I was like, I'm stupid. I was getting involved with drugs and things. I didn't really care. And next thing I know, they came and said, right, you're out. That was 24th of January, 2016. And I've been homeless since. Because there's another world on the streets. You can't go home anymore. Now you're alone.
Well, I came close once in 1962. Couldn't pay my rent, and I had 4 roommates. But I couldn't pay my rent for a couple of months, and they said, well, you got to go. I had my duffel bag on my shoulder, and so thinking, now, where am I going to go?
Whereabouts was that?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Luckily, I had friends. Somebody who took me in.
A lot of people look at you, they think, it's your fault you're there. You deserve it, you've done something wrong. It wasn't my case. I mean, it just built up.
How long you been doing this, Josh?
For a couple of years now.
So what got you started?
I think it was feeling a bit helpless, really, if I'm honest. Like, it came from a feeling of helplessness of how can I affect a problem that seems so big? How do I even begin to start? From that feeling of helplessness came like, I have to start with one person. Just talking to one person, finding out about them. And I think that makes you feel empowered to make bigger changes.
It's a bit more than giving a haircut or getting a haircut.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just because we're not related, I feel like there's got to be those support for the people who don't have that. And look, I know a haircut's not a big thing. I know it's not going to change somebody's world, but for me, it's just a way of spending time with someone. It's a way of making someone hopefully feel like that there's someone out there who cares, even if that is a stranger, right? So.
Yeah.
This is it. Well, it's just coming off.
I've got a chin under there, I think. Probably got 2.
Okay, you ready to say goodbye to this moustache? It's gone. It's going, going, gone.
Well, I must say, Stuart, you look human.
Oh, thank you. But I must say, when you say Stuart, you say my name, you're talking to me, and I recognise your voice, It's like...
Oh, do you now? Do you have a special sleeping place, or
I do,
wherever
yes,
you...
in Covent Garden.
Ah, okay.
It's a doorway that I've slept in a few months now. The security don't bother me.
On the street, your day-to-day, what would you say love means to you?
Usually it hits me like the first person to say good morning to me.
Yeah?
I'll be lying there, just undoing my sleeping bag, just climbing out, and somebody walks past and says, morning, and it's, whoa, lovely. But when you don't hear a good morning from anybody, it's like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Another big reason for doing this, when people walk past and they see someone helping another person, I think it's infectious, it ripples, and I think that's part of this, to try and inspire other people. So we've created a social media movement, hashtag do something for nothing. And people are using this hashtag in different places to perform goodwill acts, so it's not just about hairdressing.
So, Stuart, I'm thinking now what's got Josh here with you is his sense of love thy neighbor. Do something for someone for nothing. What do you think about that?
There'll be a lot more done.
Wouldn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, man, and final touch. We ready? I think,
there you are.
I think
Bet you don't
ready.
recognize this guy.
I don't yet.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ta-da!
I'm 20 years younger. Oh,
yeah.
Stuart, what are we saying?
Nobody's going to recognise me.
Mate, you're a new man right now.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you feel?
Like a new man.
Like a new man?
Yeah.
Do you recognise yourself then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to look like that once. I was a lot younger.
All right, so what I want to say to the both of you is thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quite a new experience. Someone like you walking around the city doing good stuff like that.
Thank you.
And thank you.
It does. It really does.
Let's do it.
It's really terrific what Josh is doing.
We're going to see you again soon.
Thanks.
Joshua doesn't expect these small acts of kindness to end homelessness, but he hopes the love he shows people will boost their self-esteem and may help them rebuild their lives.
Just imagine if each of us took 5 minutes out of your day to do something loving for another person. I don't care if it's a family member or your friend or a total stranger. Imagine what a transformation we could make in this world.
Love is the most powerful force we know. Back when we all lived in small tribes, it kept our extended families together. But it has grown into so much more than that. Today, love can reach all the way around the world. It is endlessly adaptable, surprising, and healing. It has the power to inspire us, to push our society forward. I still believe love can change the world like I did in 1967. We just have to remember there's nothing we can do that can't be done with love.